My name is Adriel, absent number 28.
My name is Amellia Azzahra, absent number 5.
Hello everyone, my name is Angeliq Nicole, being absent 6.
Hello everyone, my name is Cahya Arif, absent number 9.
The new order is being led by President Suharto for 32 years, not a short time for a region. During his 32 years of reigning, the nation many police have had a considerable influence on the process of running on country, starting from political policies and economic policies. The political policies is divided into the domestic and foreign policy and policy with based on the needs of the state. Ideally, the policies in suit are those that are profitable and prioritize and interests of the people at large. So let's take a look at some of the political policies during the New Order era. Next, we have collected some of the political policies during the New Order era.
Conduct election in 1971. The election that have been regulated through the 1967 XII IPS, which stipulates that the election will be held in 1971, are different from the election in 1955. In this election, government officials only sided with one of the election participants, namely Golkar. In this era, the Golkar party always win on the next election on 1977, 1982, 1987, 1992 until 1997. Political party simplification. The simplification of political parties are divided into two parties and one group work. First, Partai Persatuan Indonesia, a merger from Nahdlatul Ulama, Permusi, Perti, PSII. The second is Partai Demokrasi Indonesia, a merger from Partai Nasional Indonesia, Partai Katolik, Partai Murba, IPKI, Perkindo. And the last one is Golongan Karya or Golkar.
The dual function of Indonesian National Army. The dual function of National Army as a defense and security force and as a socio-political force. As a socio-political force, the National Army is directed to be able to play an active role in national development. The National Army also has representatives in the MPR known as the Abdi faction, so that their position during the New Order era was very dominant. Pedoman Penghayatan dan Pengamalan Pancasila or P4. Pedoman Penghayatan dan Pengamalan Pancasila or Guidelines for the Appreciation and Practice of Pancasila, or simply called a P4 or Eka Prasetya Pancakarsa, aims to provide an understanding to all levels of society about Pancasila. All organizations may not use any ideologies except Pancasila, even before upgrading is carried out for civil servants.
Indonesia became a member of UN again when Indonesia left the United Nations on August 7, 1965. Indonesia was isolated from international relations and made it difficult for Indonesia, both economically and politically, in the world. The situation then encouraged Indonesia to return to being a member of the United Nations based on the result of the DPRGR session on September 28, 1966. Indonesia officially became a member of the United Nations. Restoration of diplomatic relations with Malaysia and Singapore and termination of relations with China. In 1965, there was a confrontation between Indonesia and Malaysia and Singapore. To restore the diplomatic relation, an agreement was signed between Indonesia representative of Adam Malik and Malaysia represented by Tun Abdul Razak on August 11, 1966. in Jakarta. Restoration of diplomatic relations with Singapore through recognition of Singapore independence of June 2, 1966. Strengthen regional and international cooperation. Indonesia began to strengthen regional of the international cooperation by making several efforts, namely, 1. Participant in the Table of ASEAN. Indonesia became one the founding countries of ASEAN. 2. Sending Garuda contingent and on peace mission. 3. Participate in the non-election summit. 4. Role in the Organization of Islamic Conference atau UEC. The New Order government has a slogan that shows their main focus in enacting economic policy, namely the development trilogy. 1. Economic growth is quite high. 2. Equitable development and its result leading to the creation of social justice for all people. 3. Healthy and dynamic nationally stability. Not without foundation, the development trilogy was created because Indonesia experienced very high inflation in early 1966, approximately 950% a year, while some of the economic policy issued during the New Order are
5-year development plan or Rapelita. In April 1969, the government drafted a 5-year development plan which aimed to improve economic facilities, economic activities, and the need for clothing and food. This Rapelita will evaluated every 5 years. First Rapelita, 1st April 1969 until 31st March 1974. The main targets to be achieved are food, clothing, housing, expansion of employment opportunities, and spiritual welfare. Economic growth managed to rise 3 to 4.7%, while the inflation rate decreased to 47.8%. However, the policies during Rapelita first were considered to be beneficial to Japanese investors and only the wealth. This triggered the 15th January or Malari disaster. Second Rapelita, 1st April 1974 until 30 March 1979, focused on agricultural and cultural and industrial sector that process raw materials into raw materials. Third Rapelita, 1st April 1979 until 31st March 1984. Pillar third emphasized the development trilogy by emphasizing the principle of equity, namely, equitable fulfillment of people's basic needs, equal opportunity to obtain education and services, equitable distribution of income, equal employment opportunities, equal distribution of business opportunities, equal opportunities to participate in development, equitable distribution of development, equality justice.
Rapelita for 1 April 1984 under 31 March 1989. Focus on the agricultural sector towards self-sufficiency in food by increasing industries that could produce their own machine. Rapelita 5, 1 April 1989 under 31 March 1994. Focus on the agricultural sector to establish self-sufficiency in food, increase agricultural production, absorb labor, and be able to produce their own machine. Rapelita 6 start in 1994, focusing on the development of the economic sector, industry, agriculture, and improving human resource.
Green Revolution. The Green Revolution is basically a change in the way of farming from the traditional way, or peasants, to the modern way of farmers. To increase agricultural production, four main businesses are generally carried out, which consist of intensification, namely research development, and application of agricultural technology to utilize existing land in order to obtain optimal results. This change is made through the Panca Usaha Tani program, which consists of selection and use of superior seeds or superior varieties, sufficient fertilization, sufficient watering, intensive pest control, and good planting technique. Extension, namely the expansion of agricultural land to obtain more optimal agricultural products, diversification or farming diversity, and rehabilitation or recovery of critical agricultural research productivity.
Construction technology. In the 80s, an Indonesian engineer from Bali, Djokordo Raka Sukawati, invented a road construction technique called the Sosrobahu technique, which became famous after that and was widely used by many countries. This technology has been exported to the Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore, and in 1995 a patent was granted to Indonesia. Indonesia has a well-established rail and rail transportation industry with the state-owned rail company PT Railway Industry, which is located in Madiun, East Java since 1982. The company has been producing passenger train cars, freight cars, and other rail technologies and exporting them to various countries such as Malaysia and Bangladesh.
Information and communication technology. Indonesia was one of the few countries that during the 1970s had their own communication satellites. Since 1976, a series of satellites named Palapa were built and launched in the United States for the state-owned telecommunication company in Indonesia, Indosat. In Internet technology, an Indonesian information technology scientist, Ono Widodo Purbo, has developed RT or RWNet, a community-based internet infrastructure that enables affordable internet access for people in rural areas.
The role of students in the new order. The year 1998 was one of the biggest changes in the history of Indonesia, with the multidimensional crisis that there have been efforts to change social, political, and economic conditions and driven by the student movement. This movement was supported by the common awareness of the student, and then it really became an effective change movement. A large-scale demonstration was held by youth and students to voice their demands of improving conditions in Indonesia. This movement later developed into a joint movement that demanded change in several fields.